This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. It is Thursday, April 23rd. Ahead today, Americans are not just worried about the coronavirus right now, but what might happen this winter. Hear from health experts on what you can do to protect yourself. We'll also look at how grow farmers are coming up with new safety guidelines to allow people to stay healthy while picking fruit. And it is a 100-day challenge that is calling Christians to increase their faith and be intentional about their relationship with God. And it's a coronavirus anthem. Hear why one musician is using it to encourage people to trust God. We're following these stories and much more today on NewsWatch. But we begin with President Trump at the White House, who is still moving to instill confidence in our nation that it can begin to relax restrictions and reopen the economy. He's also pushing against the governor of Georgia's early decision to reopen and working to calm fears about next winter. Heather Sells has the story.
Many Americans are not just worried about the virus right now, but what might happen this winter. The president is downplaying that concern and pushing back against what the CDC director said earlier this week. Robert Redfield told the Washington Post there's a possibility that the assault of the virus on our nation next winter will actually be even more difficult than the one we just went through. But Wednesday night, during the coronavirus task force briefing, he clarified his remarks.
I didn't say that this was going to be worse. I said it was going to be more complicated or more difficult and potentially complicated.
Redfield said the potential twin challenge of dealing with both the coronavirus and the flu could be tough and urged Americans to get their flu shots in the fall. The president is also pushing back against the governor of Georgia. On Friday, Governor Kemp will allow some businesses like bowling alleys and hair salons to open.
This is a measured approach with a lot of different requirements and guidance that we're going to be putting out.
I told the governor very simply that I disagree with his decision, but he has to do what he thinks is right.
Critics have questioned the governor's decision because Georgia is still moving slowly with tracking and testing for the virus. In California, a small step toward reopening, Governor Newsom says he will allow elective surgeries in hospitals, letting thousands of healthcare employees go back to work. He's also ordering a statewide investigation to figure out when the epidemic actually started. A new report from Santa Clara shows that 2 people with the virus died up to 3 weeks before the U.S. reported its first death from the disease.
We've actually directed beyond just Santa Clara, go back as far as December, to request coroner's autopsy to dig even deeper.
In Washington, the House is set to pass an almost $500 billion relief bill today, aimed mainly at helping small businesses. The real fight now centers on the next bill and how much aid state and local governments will get. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says there will be a lengthy debate on that package, while Democrats and many governors say they need the help. It's yet another unknown on the horizon, the uncertainty of how much the federal government is willing to spend to bail out the country, along with questions about the continued spread of the virus and how long it will take to reopen the economy. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thank you so much, Heather. Progress, by the way, is being made toward a viable vaccine for the virus. That's according to researchers at a Philadelphia-based pharmaceutical company. Inovio Pharmaceuticals told Fox News that they are in their first phase of testing the virus. Trials on human subjects began last week, and a second phase of testing is expected in the near future. Approximately 40 people will be tested during the initial phase at locations in Kansas City and the University of Pennsylvania. Final results from the tests are expected by this summer. It looks like most of the schools here in the United States will remain closed into late summer, and fall schools are in phase 2 of the president's guidelines for reopening the country. But the guidelines also bar gatherings of 50 people or more, a difficult goal for classrooms and crowded hallways. Officials in at least 37 states have ordered or recommended schools stay closed through the end of school year, affecting more than 55 million students in at least 124,000 private and public schools. While some districts in rural states hope to reopen in May. Other states that have been hotspots may not reopen even in the fall. You may recall the story of church members in a Mississippi town who were fined $500 for attending a church service in their cars. Well, the city of Greenville has now dropped its order banning drive-in services, just after the Justice Department expressed interest in the case and a lawsuit from the Alliance Defending Freedom. The city's mayor said its policy was consistent with the governor's shelter-in-place order, even though that order exempted churches. And the governor said he had no problem with driving services. The ADF and the Department of Justice said the city could not target churches while allowing similar activities elsewhere, such as drive-in restaurants. Strawberries came early this year in Virginia due to a mild winter. The only problem is COVID-19. Who is going to pick them? Those concerns caused some farmers to cancel their popular U-pick seasons, while others opened their fields with some restrictions. Wendy Griffith has more.
It was picture-perfect weather for strawberry picking in Pungo, a rural area near Virginia Beach. Bruce Henley, owner of Flip Flop Farm, just hoped folks would take advantage with new safety rules in place due to the coronavirus.
The rows in the field are 5 foot apart. So we're putting a flag down every other middle and telling people to stay down the rows without the flags, and that puts them 10 foot apart in the field.
And when people weigh and pay, Henley says they can rest assured.
We're extra sanitizing, we're wiping down all the buckets, we're wiping off the scale in between each customer, wearing latex gloves, doing all we can.
Here in Virginia Beach, strawberry picking is an annual tradition for many families. These are known as Sweet Charlies because just like the name, they're super sweet. And despite the coronavirus, people are out enjoying this beautiful weather while still maintaining social distancing.
We live close by and we're always really excited for strawberry season and just to be out in the open. Everyone seems to be social distancing well, but to get out here with our kids too.
Just down the road, however, Mike Culliford kept his strawberry fields closed to picking.
We're completely opposite of anything we've ever done before. With everything going on and with the CDC guidelines and what the governor has mandated, our family decided that our first priority was keeping us and the people that help us, our employees, safe. Second priority was keeping our customers safe.
So Culliford decided to take a different route, online ordering and pickup service.
That's the preferred way. Is you go through our website, prepay. We give you a time slot like the grocery stores are doing, or when you can come pick up your box or bag or what have you.
The decision did not come easy.
We feel bad that we're depriving people of the opportunity to come and pick, and it's costing us money because most people want to do that, so we know we're losing business, but you have to do with what you're comfortable with, and this is all we're comfortable with right now.
Another problem for both farmers is manual labor. The pandemic kept many seasonal workers home, so Culliford hired a local girls' high school basketball team to help pick the delicious berries.
And he said that we can come out here and pick strawberries while social distancing and getting paid. So I was like, yeah, count me in because I work at a restaurant as well and I can't work right now.
Meanwhile, back at Flip Flop Farm, Michelle and her daughter Neely picked enough strawberries to go around.
Today we wanted to get out of the house because we've been cooped up for so long with this social distancing, and we wanted to pick some strawberries so we can send some joy to some of our friends.
What are you personally going to do with your strawberries?
We are going to cut these up and make our homemade whipping cream and make shortcake.
And that is a sweet ending to this story. Wendy Griffith, CBN News, Virginia Beach.
Is it good?
I'm sure it's good. Coming up, we hear from the president of the Southern Evangelical Seminary, hear what he says should be pastors' response to COVID-19. That story is next.
Life is better with a good night's sleep.
Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. Is the COVID-19 pandemic God's judgment on the United States and the world? How should Christians respond when pastors and church members are arrested or ticketed for violating stay-at-home orders? On this week's edition of The Global Lane, Gary Lane posed those questions and more to Southern Evangelical Seminary President Dr. Richard Land. Take a look.
This is where the tension comes into play between being obedient to the civil magistrate for conscience sake, and at the same time render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and unto the Lord that which is the Lord's, which is our ultimate obedience, and he's our ultimate authority. And I think some of these governors have gone way too far. I've been a little shocked, actually, at the authoritarian streak in some of our governors and some of our mayors and some of our sheriffs in the way they've interpreted these orders in a very, as the Attorney General said, in a very draconian manner. I think we should certainly try to heed the government's admonitions to have social distancing and to not needlessly expose other people or endanger other people. But at the same time, you know, when you start trying to give tickets to people at drive-in church services where they're not even getting out of their cars, that's way too far. And I think that we need to protest against that. And I'd say go to court. I think if we go to court, we'll win because of the First Amendment, which says that we have a guaranteed right to worship and to assemble.
What do you say to people who say that COVID-19 is God's judgment on a sinful world? Do you believe that, or might it be something else?
Well, I believe Romans chapter 11, where the Apostle Paul tells us that the ways of God are beyond our understanding, and who can know them. So it's way above my pay grade to say whether or not God allowed the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic in order as a judgment. You know, if he did, that's his prerogative as God. But for us to ascribe that is way beyond our pay grade. What I can say is that that as Christians, we can adopt the attitude of Joseph when he was sold into slavery by his brothers, sold into Egypt. He said, you know, what you intended for evil, God redeemed and used for good. And he used it as a way to prepare a place for my people to be fed when they were in famine. So Romans 8:28 tells us all things are being worked together for the good of those that love God and are the called according to his purposes. So, you know, we can redeem this. People have been shaken out of a false sense of security in America about where their security really comes from, as they've lost their jobs and they've lost loved ones and they've gotten sick and they're exposed to the danger of getting sick. Bible sales are up. Worship attendance is up. I have several colleagues who tell me they have more people coming to the virtual services than ever came to the regular services in church.
We saw that after 9/11, did we not? Bibles were selling out of bookstores. People were flocking into the churches. Then a few weeks later, everything went back to normal. So do you think we'll see revival this time, or we'll be back to business as usual?
Well, we don't know. I mean, this is more widespread. This pandemic is going to cause more permanent change in American society than the 9/11 attacks did. Virtually everything has changed. First of all, the move from analog to digital in our society, which has been proceeding at a pretty rapid pace, is now in a dead sprint to the end. Retail stores are closing down and going bankrupt. Neiman Marcus is going bankrupt. And Amazon's hiring 150,000 workers. In education, where I am, it has completely supercharged what was already taking place. We've been doing a lot of online and live streaming classes, and so we were prepared for it. But and we're gonna embrace it, because students who had to go to high school online because the schools have been closed, and their parents have been exposed to the remarkable opportunities of the internet, and they now are far more comfortable about what can be done, far more aware of what can be done online, in the way we go to school, in the way we shop, in the way we interact with each other.
Government's accepting homeschooling. So
yeah, oh yeah.
Finally, it's hard to be salt and light when many people are still on lockdown and they have stay-at-home orders. So how can we Christians make a difference at this time?
Well, we can, first of all, they got a lot more time on their hands. We can reach them through the internet. We can reach them with messages. We can reach out to them if they are one of the at-risk groups. We can come by and volunteer to go shopping for them, to pick up groceries for them. There are lots of things we can do to reach out and be salt and light. And I think that's our responsibility and our obligation to do so, to do it because we love people, because Jesus loves them. We need to be doing everything we can to reach those people and tell them there is hope, and their hope's not to be found in their job. Their hope's not to be found in anything in this world. Their hope is to be found in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen. That's the hope of the world forever. Okay, Dr. Richard Land, president of Southern Evangelical Seminary, we appreciate you. Thank you, sir, for your time and insights.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your ministry and your witness to the gospel.
You can see more of this interview and other stories on the Global Lane tonight, as always, at 9:30 Eastern, right here on the CBN News Channel. Still ahead, it's a 100-day challenge that is calling Christians to increase their faith and be intentional about their relationship with God. That story is next.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time: keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. As you know, COVID-19 has disrupted the American way of life. Social distancing has changed the way we work, shop, and even attend church. But a new faith initiative is launching to help Christians find peace during this time of uncertainty. 100 Days of Faith is a tool to help believers revitalize their faith and grow in their relationship with God. It is hosted by Pastor Alan Jackson of World Outreach Church. And he told CBN's Mark Martin that this program will help Christians find balance amidst the chaos.
Why did you decide to launch this 100 Days of Faith program?
Well, it's a little bit of it's really a response to how I learn. You know, I'm a book junkie, and I'll read 2, 3, or 4 books a week. But when I'm done with them, I put them aside, and I didn't want people to do that with an invitation from God. So we created 100 Days of Faith. So it's not just so you could read a book, but that I'll actually come, I'll start the day with you and help you implement the ideas in the book. So I'm excited. We've used it in the congregation, had some really good outcomes, and I'm hoping we can do it with in a little broader population.
Wonderful. Well, what scriptures have been encouraging you during this time?
Well, I think in this, in this immediate season, I've been hanging on to that verse that says God's not the author of confusion, because I feel like he delivered us from the threat of millions of deaths with a virus. And now we're in this midst of a season where there's a lot of confusion and anguish and fear. And we're asking God to let the confusion dissipate like smoke and bring a clear path forward so we can go back to work and back to worship.
That's wonderful. You're right. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Well, with the current stay-at-home orders, people may be feeling depressed, anxious, even fearful and confused, like you mentioned. How would you encourage them?
Well, I think anytime our routines are disrupted, one of the responses, it leaves us a little bit off balance. And that's where I think an intentional faith helps so much, and 100 Days of Faith makes a difference, because you can build a little routine into your day that grounds us on something that reaches beyond our work routine or our favorite restaurant or our favorite recreation. At least in theory, God is the foundation of our lives, and this season has been a reminder to kind of revisit those foundational pieces. And I think it's a great opportunity to kind of find some hope and purpose in the midst of everything else being kind of turned upside down.
And you touched on this. You've written a book called Intentional Faith, Aligning Your Life with the Heart of God. Why is intentionality so important, especially at a time like this?
I think anytime the outcome matters, we want to be intentional. I took my dad for some surgery yesterday, and I didn't want the surgeon to have been trained accidentally. I wanted him to be trained very intentionally. And if our faith determines our journey through time and eternity, I think it's best in our best interest to be very intentional with it. And so to help people imagine that in an incremental way, so it's not just random waiting for God to do something, we choose to grow spiritually, and we choose to pick up our Bibles, and we choose to become people who pray. And just to create a structure to help people begin to implement that in their lives in a meaningful way.
If you want to take part in the 100 Days of Faith initiative, sign up at myfaithvotes.org. Coming up, it's an anthem that is sure to lift your spirits. Hear how one man is using music to encourage Christians in this pandemic.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts In this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. This coronavirus has caused people to feel a wide range of emotions, from fear to isolation. But one Christian music artist tells CBN News now is the perfect time to turn to God and unleash godly creativity. Our John Jessup explains.
With wall-to-wall coverage of the pandemic plastered on our screens, it could become easy to get discouraged. For singer-songwriter Mark Moore, it's produced something else.
As a creative with the creator inside, I started writing this song.
24 hours later, Pandemic Quarantine Anthem was born. It took 10 days for his Christian reggae band, Christafari, to complete the project, with several members stranded in South America and the rest on quarantine after a tour in Brazil.
While they're searching for the antivirus, never forget that Christ is with us.
Moore, whose band has been featured on the 700 Club, says most of the video was shot at his Southern California home, including his daughter's birthday, a scene highlighting the need to still mark milestones in this era of social distancing.
Her birthday party got postponed, and so we had to have a virtual party. And so that wasn't us acting with the little phones and doing FaceTime.
One word you don't hear in the anthem, the virus's common name.
I don't say Corona because I say Christ is the King. And ultimately, he's the King of all kings, and he's the one who we want to be focusing on right now.
What's been the reaction that you've gotten from people who've had an opportunity to listen to the anthem?
It's encouraged people to put their trust in God. There are 366 times in the Bible where it says, fear not. And that is something, that is a commandment, one for every day of the year, including leap year this year.
He poses this challenge to Christians.
Are you going to bloom where you planted? Or are you just going to wilt away on the couch watching, binging on Netflix? You have the creator inside. Use that creativity for the good. I want to see a lot of books written. I want to see a lot of movie treatments written, and in our case, music videos filmed in our garage.
Even as millions are confined to their homes, Moore says believers can still share their faith.
We're not supposed to hide this light under a bushel, and it's so hard to get it out, but you can through social media. You can through calling friends, FaceTiming friends, through reaching out to those people. So right now, right after you watch this, just look through your phone and just pray through that list of friends and just say, God, who should I reach out to right now?
A practical and powerful example of getting through this pandemic together. John Jessup, CBN News.
Terrific advice. That is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us again next time. Have a great day, everyone.